Hello. I'm going to grab a drink of water just before we get started here. If you are catching me live, I would love to have a conversation with you. But on the replay, hashtag replay, let me know you are hopping in, you're catching these recordings, and that you are finding value here. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about your competition. And honestly, there's this phrase that I keep hearing over and over again: create before you consume. And I understand the intention behind it, but I'm here to tell you that that is a lie. You cannot create before you consume. And I'm going to get into that today. Hello. For those of you who have not met me, I am Stephanie Gary, the blog content writer and editor helping women coaches and consultants save time with planning, creating, and updating their blog posts so that their content can live longer in top search results to attract more clients. I was actually having a conversation with my oldest, my 8-year-old. She wants to start a YouTube channel. I'm sure plenty of you can probably relate to what this is like. And of course, she wants to create a YouTube channel so that ad revenue, essentially. And she was asking me all sorts of questions, which is remarkably similar to how we'd set up a blog. So of course I'd share my knowledge with her, but I was explaining things in a little bit different way so that, some of the bigger words like validate that she wouldn't know, she could understand. So let me go ahead and give a quick overview. When it comes to setting something up, you need to come up with the overall topic and a few months worth of content ideas. So for her, I assigned her with 12 different ideas so that she'd have 3 months, and then more ideas will come naturally as we go. And she was stuck between cooking and gaming, which totally different topics, right? So this might be something you could relate to as far as which offers you're putting out. So they might be a little bit more close related than cooking and gaming. However, they are still going to have some differences. So when you look at what you want to offer, you want to make sure you understand what the pillar type of content topic is behind that offer. For example, an overall weight loss program, especially if it's focused in lifestyle change as opposed to a workout regimen, you'd want to talk about stress, food, perhaps it's a little bit of workout, or maybe you leave that out entirely. You could be talking about mindset, you could be talking about relationships. There's a whole set of options for what kind of topics are related to how you approach weight loss for this offer, this example offer. And when you come down to what your process is, whatever your 6 steps are or your 4 pillars to getting to the other side, that ideal result, um, that is going to be the topics you'll want to talk about in your content to demonstrate your mastery, to make sure that you are positioning yourself as the expert because you know they need this, this, and this. Once you've got that, though, like what does each video talk about is what my daughter was asking. And so it applies as it does on YouTube, as it does on blog posts. And when you're not sure where to go or where to start with from what you already have, or maybe you're starting from scratch, it is actually helpful to look at the competition. Else is creating the content and selling the offers that are similar, maybe even darn near identical to what you have or that what you want. So first, let's make sure that your idea is a good idea. Someone wants to buy or someone wants to consume the content, like whatever the goal is ultimately, you want to make sure it's a good idea. And if there's someone else already doing the thing successfully, that proves it's a good idea for someone. Therefore, it can be a good idea for you too. If there's not any other people selling the same thing or doing what you want to do, then it's probably not a validated idea. It's not an idea that has been proven to work for someone. No one's buying, no one's watching, no one's reading, like whatever the situation calls for, no one wants it. Once you find the idea that has been proven to be good, that someone wants it, they're willing to pay, invest either in their time and their money in what you have, then you'll want to take a look at what kind of content they have. Um, and it can be as broad as what type of headlines do they have on each video, not even watching any of the videos. What kind of blog posts do they have? What are their headlines on them? And as long as they're doing a good job on making their titles clear and identifying what the promise is behind it, then you'll be able to understand what's in the video or blog post without actually consuming anything at this point. So there's that. And then there's also the making sure that it is performing well. So you have your competition that has something similar to what you have. Then you have someone who is providing content that's similar to you, and it's of interest for you to create that in your own way. Now you're going to be looking at what information you can look at to determine if it performed well, because you want to focus on the stuff that performs well for other people before you focus on the stuff that's not performing well for anyone. And that gives you an increased chance of a better return on your investment in your content marketing. So with YouTube, that would be looking at the ratio of views on the video and subscribers. On blog posts, it would be how many views on the URL and how many shares. It gives you an idea. It's not a perfect science, but you can tell when something is doing better than others, especially if you're finding it in the top search result pages, because Google has far more access to information than you will have. And then you can increase your own measures and you'll use your own data that you do have access to continue to improve the performance of your own content. So, without getting too technical on this, I just want to give you a couple ideas as to how this might look for you. And let me share my screen real quick for you. And we will start with this one right here. Amy Porterfield, just because she is a very well-known name in the online marketing world. She is a digital marketing expert. She has her own podcast. Here is her website, which is under her own name, amyporterfield.com. And I have 2 different Google Chrome extensions on here to give me this extra data here. There is the Ubersuggest extension and also keywords everywhere. And according to this, it tells me that there's over 8,000 monthly searches just for Amy Porterfield's name. And then this gives them some extra information here. But you'll see the domain authority gives you an idea as to how much the search engines trust the actual page. Or actually, with the domain authority, it's the trusting on the domain, and then there's page authority that trusts on the actual page itself. It can be drastically different, and it can also be very similar, but they are 2 different things. Here you get an estimated monthly visits. That gives you an idea out of all of those searches, how many times does that particular page get visits? And it doesn't always line up when you have different data coming from different data sources. So this is definitely going to be a ballpark. It would be best to use a single tool for a consistent metric. Um, that way you can have consistency for all of your research. And then here is different pins. It's been pinned 566 times. It's been shared on Facebook over 3,000 times. And then this is another domain that is referring to this URL. So another website, blog post, whatever, has a link that goes back to this specific URL, which is the homepage. It may or may not mean necessarily anything, but it does give you an idea that this is a very well-trusted particular page. So if I wanted to compare my website to hers, well, I have some room for improvement here. And that's when I would go ahead and switch over to this other tab, which let me, it did not do that very well. Here, there we go. Now I want you to see this screen. This is Ubersuggest, their actual website. They have the extension I've had on my browser, but then once I go to their actual website, which is neilpatel.com/Ubersuggest, then I am able to use the information here. And as you can see across the top, there is a new feature where you type in a competitor's domain to get better keyword ideas. This is essentially just content ideas. So I got Amy Porterfield's website there. I'm in the US using English. I could change that if I really wanted to, but I don't today. And just so you can get a visual, I'm intentionally not signing in at this point so that you can get an idea of what this looks like. And as you can see, Ubersuggest does have a free limited version if you are doing really light searches. So 3 free daily searches available. There is a 7-day trial you can have, and there's other options for expanding your functionality on this tool. However, let's go ahead and take a look at what this page pulled up. We've got the overall information here that looks similar to what we saw earlier. This is across all of the website, not just the home page. The domain authority should be consistent across all places. So that should have been the same. Organic monthly traffic would be the amount of times people are clicking to their website without going through paid traffic sources, such as advertising, and as well as organic keywords for the website. They've got 12,000. I'm nowhere near the size of a business, so that would not be something I would necessarily look for right now in my stage. Because it's the free version, I don't get to see a huge amount of back history information here, but I do get to see some relatively recent visit information, which is good. And if you keep track of this every few months, looks like every quarter, you could easily see this information over time. Then you have the keywords ranking. This is the ranking of that particular keyword that they're referencing. How many times does it rank in the first to third search result, 4th to 10th search results. Therefore, those first two are on the first page. 11th to 50th is still solid, but not the best. And then 51st to 100th search result. Some people are going to have to get really desperate before they're going to make it that far in the search result. And anything after 100 is essentially invisible. And as you can see, there is quite the breakdown on this website where I have potential opportunities to outrank, somewhere in the ballpark of 8,000 keywords in here, just because they aren't focusing on that or anything of that sort. Who knows which keywords they are? There are other tools for that specifically. And then we can find what their top search results pages are, which I'm sure Amy Porterfield's name is searched the most. Therefore, her homepage is going to be the top search result. This will help us break down. You can also see here it's broken down by country, and there's more options. How many times it's pinned, shared on Facebook, how many times other people have linked to that page, and total estimated visits. When you look at this, there is the homepage and the podcast page landing area. It's not really anything you're necessarily going to be competing against. However, you could look at the courses, what kind of content's there, and how to share Starbucks coffee followers. Share a cup of Starbucks coffee with your social media followers. That's what that one's going to be about. So that kind of content, for if it's relevant, then it would be something that we'd be able to also come up with. But I don't need to read it to be able to turn around and write about it, or to record a video about it, or make another podcast episode about it. This would be something I could do knowing what my competition is creating without actually consuming what they've created. But I'm still learning what it is that they have so that I know what is working. And tools of the trade, that was a nice resource page, always is great for every business. And then here are some outright just keywords. They're not actual URLs we're seeing here, which not necessarily anything specific that I'd want here, but I could go in further to research more. But this gives you a great idea as to what else is going on here. Then you can look at the other different options here. There are other tools and ways to figure out how to expand what you have and what your competition is doing. So if you have any questions on that, I would like to go ahead and answer that. Take a sip of water again. I don't know if it's the change in season. It's actually getting quite warm now, so I'm getting dry everywhere. So, in order to know what to create for your audience and to build your community, you'll need to know what it is that some of your competition is working. And what works for them can work for you, but it has to be also still created in your own voice. So you're not entirely consuming every single word or video that they happen to produce, but you are consuming what ideas they have and what is working in the market. What are the people actually buying? And that's buying with their time or buying with their money. And there are going to be plenty of other tools. So if you don't want to use either Ubersuggest or just the Google searches, if you aren't interested in having to do that research yourself, there's even consultants that will help you do that work for you. There's all sorts of options for any sort of issue that you may come up with. Just let me know, and I can actually even hook you up with a few of them too. I believe, yeah, that was it for my notes here. So if you have anything else, I will circle back with you. And I hope you have a wonderful evening, day, morning, wherever you are, and whatever time you are catching this. Thank you and have a wonderful time.